Tests for nitrite. Nitrites are inorganic compounds containing the nitrite ion, in which a nitrogen atom is bonded to two oxygen atoms. It is a symmetric anion with equal nitrogen-oxygen bond length and oxygen-nitrogen-oxygen bond angle of approximately 120 degrees. Upon protonation, nitrite ion produces weak nitrous acid which is unstable. Our aim here is to test for the presence of the nitrite ion in a given salt. The tests to determine the presence of the nitrite ion are preliminary tests and confirmatory tests. Let's first look at the preliminary tests of nitrite. They are dry heating test and dilute sulfuric acid test. Dry heating test. Materials required: original salt, ferrous sulfate solution, test tubes, test tube holder, and Bunsen burner. Procedure: take a small quantity of the salt in a test tube and heat it over the Bunsen burner. On heating, nitrite undergoes decomposition to evolve reddish-brown gas of nitrogen dioxide with a pungent smell. Cover the test tube containing the salt with an empty test tube and collect the gas. Now, pour some ferrous sulfate solution into the test tube filled with gas. Ferrous sulfate reacts with nitrogen dioxide to form a black coloration. Dilute sulfuric acid test. Materials required: original salt, ferrous sulfate solution, dilute sulfuric acid, test tubes and a dropper. Procedure: take a small quantity of salt in a test tube. To this, add a small quantity of dilute sulfuric acid using a dropper. On treating the solid nitrite with dilute sulfuric acid, nitric oxide gas is evolved which readily gives fumes of nitrogen dioxide with oxygen of the air. Cover the test tube containing salt with an empty test tube and collect the gas. Now, pour some ferrous sulfate solution into the test tube filled with gas. Ferrous sulfate reacts with nitrogen dioxide to form a black coloration. Next, we look at the confirmatory tests of nitrite. They are ferrous sulfate test, starch iodide test, diphenylamine test. Ferrous sulfate test. Materials required: aqueous solution of the salt, dilute acetic acid, ferrous sulfate solution, test tube and droppers. Procedure: take a small portion of aqueous solution of the salt in the test tube. To this, add a small amount of dilute acetic acid using a dropper. Now, add a small amount of ferrous sulfate solution using another dropper. Nitrite reacts with ferrous sulfate in the presence of dilute acetic acid to form a dark brown iron complex. Starch iodide test. Materials required: aqueous solution of the salt, dilute sulfuric acid, potassium iodide solution, freshly prepared starch solution, test tube, and droppers. Procedure: take a small portion of aqueous solution of the salt in the test tube. To this, add a small amount of dilute sulfuric acid using a dropper. Now, add a few drops of potassium iodide solution using a dropper. Then, add a small volume of freshly prepared starch solution using another dropper. Nitrite reacts with potassium iodide and dilute sulfuric acid to liberate iodine, and the liberated iodine reacts with starch to form a blue-black complex. Diphenylamine test. Materials required: aqueous solution of the salt, diphenylamine reagent, test tube and a dropper. Procedure: take a small portion of aqueous solution of the salt in the test tube. To this, add a small amount of diphenylamine reagent using the dropper. In presence of nitrite, diphenylamine is oxidized, giving a deep blue coloration. Precautions: handle the apparatus and chemicals carefully. Use droppers to take reagents from the bottles. Use freshly prepared starch solution. Wear a lab coat and gloves while performing the experiment.